Hi and welcome everyone. Many of us are exploring and experimenting with AI either at work or at home, and we're getting a better sense of the capability that AI as a technology can bring as a result. I don't know about you, but I can't imagine a working day now without using AI to help me to write an email or batting ideas back and forth with. What an exciting and fascinating time to be leading in. AI literacy gives us the confidence to ask better questions, to make better choices, and to create the conditions for AI to be used well. And as we lead in this new world, we don't need to become technologists or data scientists, but we do need to build an intuitive knowledge of what AI is, what it needs to work well, and how to deploy and use it responsibly. And if you want to explore those topics further, please do access our free 20-minute bite-sized courses on these areas, and I will share the link at the end. But today I'm going to talk to you about what it means to lead in this era. I'm going to share some insight as to where AI will stretch you, and also share a case study to help to bring some of these concepts to life. AI brings us a huge opportunity, but it also asks more of us. I want to start with work. And in June 2025, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy sent a message to his employees. He said that as Amazon rolls out more generative AI and agents, he will need fewer people doing some of the jobs being done today and more people doing other types of jobs. He also said that Amazon expected this to reduce its total corporate workforce over the next few years. And I think this statement really captures the moment that we are in. One of the world's most operationally sophisticated companies is saying openly that AI will change the shape of work. And an important shift in thinking for all of us is that AI has always been about changing the shape of work, not just introducing a new technology to change the way that we do work. AI changes the skills that we need, the roles that we do, and the way that value is delivered as a result. So no longer is AI the responsibility of just the CTO or the CIO. This is the responsibility of all leadership roles in an organization, whether you are the operations manager, a HR director, maybe you're even the CEO. But one of the biggest challenges we have right now is the pace that we are expected to operate in. And AI behaves very differently to the technology that we have used up until now. And to build our literacy, of course, we ourselves need to learn how to use these new technologies. And in my experience, the reality is that you can't just do an online course to become an expert. To really learn AI is a process. It's through experimentation, getting curious, and then experimenting some more. And through that process, we build our trust and knowledge in how these technologies operate and behave. And only then do we really understand the opportunities and risks as a result of these technologies even existing. And Gary and Jonty will be talking about this some more on Thursday. But as well as you being on your own learning journey, I have no doubt right now that your investors and board members are asking you to drive productivity or efficiency using AI. I also have no doubt that your teams are already experimenting, and maybe you've already implemented some AI and that's been really successful. So how do you continue to make good decisions right now? Well, the good news is that many of you will have experienced digital transformation. You know what it takes to change systems, redesign processes, and bring people with you. And please be reassured that all of this experience is really good grounding, especially when we are applying a discrete AI solution or experimenting in safe areas of your organization. A strong base of transformation knowledge is still super important, but then you have to stretch some more. Over time and through experimentation, you will build your confidence and maturity, and you will notice that the conversations may start to change around you. Maybe you've started your journey with AI asking, how can we automate this? How quickly can we roll it out? And how much can we save? But maybe now you are moving to a different conversation, a conversation of much deeper questions like, how do I know if AI even belongs here at all? What do I need to understand about governance and trust? And how do I move people with me as we transform the way we work? So let's dig a little deeper into some of those stretchier questions. I'm going to share some insight about the 3 costs of deploying AI: the human cost, the environmental cost, and the financial cost. First, human. One of the first things that people ask me when I tell them that I work in AI is, what careers advice are you giving to your children? Well, I'll share. My overall advice hasn't changed. Find a career that gives you purpose, something that you really care about or you love. But what is different is what we focus on in everyday situations. I use every opportunity possible to develop what I call IRL, in real life skills, strong and confident communication skills that help my kids to connect in the most authentic way. AI won't be able to host a dinner party or create the atmosphere at a concert. I also create as many opportunities as possible to explore ethics and critical thinking. So we test and triangulate everything we see and hear. I still believe the sciences hold value. And as an example, my daughter is taking her computer science GCSE, not because I believe she will need to code in the future, but because we're going to need bright, brilliant talent that have both a core understanding in these technologies, but can also bring IRL, ethical and critical thinking skills. So why are you telling me this? What relevance does it have to AI literacy? Because the choices we make today as leaders will shape the future job market my daughter moves into, that all our future generations will move into. So this is an important example of one of the stretches that we need to think about more deeply as we bring AI technology into our day-to-day work. What is the human cost of AI doing more process, more decision making, helping us to digest more and more information and data? What happens to dignity, agency, and work? And when we say AI will create new jobs, what kind of jobs are being created? Just a few weeks ago, I was listening to a podcast where Karen Ho was speaking. Karen is a journalist who has spent years reporting on the AI industry. She reminded me about the huge hidden human labour behind AI training. Large language models, of course, learn from data patterns, but today people still play a huge role in shaping how they respond and improve through what's called data annotation roles. Across the world, millions of people are involved in data annotation and model training, often in low-paid and insecure work. But Karen Ho also shared a story about a marketing executive who had been laid off. She found herself in one of these data annotation roles, helping to train the models on the same type of work that she had just lost, on a lower salary and with less security. It left me thinking about whether AI is giving people agency, skills, and opportunity. And are we creating better work, or are we just moving human effort into less visible parts of the supply chain? And what is our role as leaders in this moment? Then there is the environmental cost. And Andrew Grigg, who leads in my team on sustainable AI, has done some incredibly useful work here, working alongside UK government and our group community. AI's environmental impact is real and growing. AI consumes significant amounts of energy, water and carbon across the full AI lifecycle. So from data collection and storage through model training, then to day-to-day use. And at the same time, most organizations struggle to measure how these impacts clearly, and that makes it really hard to take practical action. I think the opportunity for us as leaders is twofold. So to reduce the negative environmental impact of AI through better design, governance, and use of technology, whilst also prioritising those AI user cases that actively support sustainability outcomes. We might choose to build a smaller, more focused large language model as an example that requires less training and therefore has less impact. My view is that done well, sustainable AI is not a constraint. It's actually an opportunity. It helps organizations meet net zero goals. It can reduce the overall financial costs of AI and therefore turn sustainability into a real practical advantage. And finally, there is the financial cost. So whether you choose to start building AI technology yourself, or maybe you're utilizing the investments made into your existing infrastructure, at this stage, the initial solution cost and the license fee is only one part of it. Because of the jagged nature of AI, so what I mean by that, it works well in some areas and not so well in others. We always start with experimentation to manage both the risk and to test the value. So to run AI at scale, you have to invest and build a culture of innovation and safety, and then invest some more in data readiness, infrastructure, integration, governance, assurance, training, adoption. The list goes on, and Susanna will help to unpack some more of that tomorrow. It makes building the business case very different to what we are used to too. It used to be we bring in technology solution A to solve problem B. But now we have to build an AI business case on both the new value and changing the shape of work. And it's easy to come in with a mindset of let's apply AI to everything. But in some cases, automation or data visualization will provide much better value. So the very real leadership stretch, a key difference between digital transformation and AI transformation, is whether the value justifies the full cost: human, environmental, and financial. And we at Sopra Steria hold that responsibility deeply, both when we're transforming our own business and working with our partners. To bring this more to life alongside the other stretches, so the role of governance, trust, and how to move people with you, I'm going to share a story about AI transformation in our own business. And the title of this story is "A Workforce That Understands How to Use AI Well Will Create More Value Than a Workforce Simply Told How to Use AI More." Just last week, I was chatting with our HR managing director about the AI transformation for part of our business that delivers critical national infrastructure for 22 different government departments. This part of our organisation has been on an AI maturity journey over the past 2 years. And during that time, they've experimented with AI as a technology and have successfully implemented 2 scaled solutions into their contact centres. That includes conversational AI and an AI-powered noise cancellation, which has resulted in a 96 customer satisfaction score, which is world class. They were ready to take on the next phase of their AI journey, so to start to take advantage of the capability that AI agents will bring. So the practical question then becomes, how do we move an organisation that successfully implemented AI solutions to one that is ready to take on confident, responsible AI adoption at scale? And as we were talking through the approach to delivering this shift, my HR managing director asked a really practical question. But who are the people who are going to be identifying the AI agent user cases and changing the way that people work? And I said, every employee. We need every employee to be capable and empowered to do that. I think one of the most exciting possibilities of AI is that 99% of the new capability this technology brings has not even been imagined yet. Remember, this is not just about automating what we already do. This is about reimagining the shape of work and the value we deliver as a result. And that requires the tacit business knowledge in every employee to work through where AI should be applied and to drive the new business value that is needed. AI as a technology has been in existence for 70 years, but not in our day-to-day work. How and where we apply it is now the challenge that's before us. And if we want to make that business case stack, that requires a whole organization movement. And we needed to find ways to accelerate that movement. Whole-scale AI transformation is more than a technology rollout. We have to work across the 6 pillars of AI maturity incrementally, so strategy, governance, tech, data, expertise, and culture. And I believe one of the biggest challenges we face is how do we move a workforce where 40% believe that AI will take their job to a position where every employee feels confident and empowered to apply AI where it will really add value, to move people from anxiety to innovation. And there was no blueprint for this until now, only some case studies and learning from early adopters. And it's one of the biggest change challenges I have ever faced. So I brought together the best of our capability with specialists from behavioral science, data science, AI expertise, change expertise, and user research working together in one team. So how did we tackle it? First, we needed to create the vision and build the narrative. The vision gives people a clear answer to why AI is being introduced, what value it should create, and what kind of relationship we want between people and technology. It should work for our business, for our people, and for society. For our work, that vision is hybrid intelligence, that people and technology move together. AI can deliver the speed and scale, it can spot the patterns and orchestrate the routine work. People continue to bring judgment, context, empathy, ethics, imagination, and accountability. The goal is still efficiency, but not efficiency for cost out alone. Hybrid intelligence is about what we do with the capacity that AI creates. It's what makes us different, and it's what's going to secure our future. AI can help us to handle scale, but the real value comes from when we reinvest the time it frees up into more of what our customers actually care about. Better judgment, stronger assurance, deeper insight, more prevention, less rework, and services that feel more responsive and trusted. The next stage was building the narrative. And the narrative is so much more than a communication plan. It is the story that helps people move with the organisation. It explains why the organisation is doing this, what will change, what will stay human, and how people will be supported. We were clear that our vision is not about AI replacing people. It is about delivering more of what our customers really care about. That every employee has a role to play in this future, and that we were going to create the culture where everybody can contribute safely and where we build the right literacy and capabilities so that they can shape the future of AI together. A good narrative creates the conditions for psychological safety. It gives people a way to understand the future without pretending that the change is simple. Then we needed to get to know our people. So we took the time to really listen through surveys, workshops, and deeper one-to-one conversations. And what we learned was nuanced, emotional, and incredibly important. Attitudes to AI are mixed and on balance, neutral to negative, with anxiety and mistrust very real for many, particularly at lower job levels where AI literacy is also lower. Psychological factors matter hugely. People who feel safe to speak up, curious and open to learning are significantly more confident and less anxious about AI. How AI is introduced also really matters. Framing it as human-like increases fear, whereas positioning it clearly as a tool puts people more at ease. When training is practical, interactive, and directly relevant to real roles, confidence grows quickly. Using the survey data, we were also able to baseline where the organisation is today and create clear personas, from those who are feeling threatened to those that are ready to go all in, showing that about 4 in 10 people are really ready for hybrid intelligence, while others need reassurance, relevance, and time to build confidence. The key takeaway is that people aren't resistant to AI. They want to be involved, treated like grown-ups, and supported to learn safely in a way that fits their reality. Using those insights, we then focused on interventions. And what really stood out is that AI success is far less about the technology and far more about the environment leaders create around it, the culture. From the outset, we worked very closely with the senior leadership team to move beyond agreeing the vision and into testing what it actually means to lead hybrid intelligence day to day. Together, we defined 3 behaviours that genuinely matter when AI becomes real at work: curiosity, collaboration, and constructive challenge. The consistent enabler underneath all 3 is psychological safety. When leaders visibly invite questions, uncertainty, and challenge, people are far more confident experimenting with AI, sharing their learning and questioning outputs rather than blindly trusting them. We also deliberately supported leaders to practice this through a 12-week program, through small, safe experiments, shared reflection, and peer learning, so the behaviours were role modelled, not just talked about. So how did we build confidence and literacy in people? Well, using everything we'd learned from our people and leaders, we deliberately turned that insight into action by designing training that worked for how people actually feel about AI, not how we assume they should feel. The foundation training is designed to do one thing first: reduce anxiety and build confidence before capability. So rather than technical training, we focused on hands-on practical sessions that make AI feel accessible, relevant, and safe to try. People had time to experiment, to challenge outputs and learn together, using familiar low-risk scenarios before moving anywhere near the service or customer work. The 3 behaviours were baked into the design, not talked about as theory, and what we saw very quickly was a shift. People who arrived cautious or anxious left calmer, more confident, and genuinely motivated to engage, with a much clearer sense of where AI helps and where human judgment really matters. Importantly, this wasn't about creating experts. It was about giving people a shared language, psychological safety, and the confidence to keep learning. And that's why the foundation now allows us to move into the next phases of training, which is the deeper, more role-relevant learning, clearer governance and guide rails, and those practical agent user cases. That foundation is critical because governance and scale sit around this work. Central AI governance gives us consistency, but actually local governance is a key enabler of responsible, safe AI at scale. And as we roll out more AI and more agents, it allows teams close to the work to spot issues early, understand whether AI is behaving as expected, and to raise those concerns quickly if needed. Importantly, we're not just relying on processes and boards alone to do that. We're building governance capability into people themselves through judgment, confidence, and everyday practice. And finally, our AI hub and community then becomes this living centre of the change. It brings together all of the resources, examples, governance, guidance, and it keeps momentum going after training because AI literacy isn't just a one-off event. It has to be reinforced over time. And together, this gives us a way to scale AI that feels safe and grounded and human-centred, with people who feel ready, supported, and in control rather than overwhelmed or done to. So this is how organisations moved from isolated solutioning to responsible AI adoption at scale. It accelerates whole organisational movement. It democratises AI. It builds confidence and trust, and it helps people move from anxiety to innovation. So what are the leadership lessons from this story? Well, how do I know if AI even belongs here at all? People told us that we had to slow down and we had to be explicit about why we are doing this, not just what we are rolling out. People are far more comfortable with AI when it's clearly tied to value, not just tech for tech's sake. We can justify and balance the cost of AI when it's focused on delivering more of what really matters rather than just simply driving efficiency for its own sake. It also means investing deliberately in the capability of the workforce so that they can thrive in an AI-driven world, giving people greater autonomy, judgment, and empowerment to shape how their roles evolve rather than just feeling replaced or done to. And people reinforce their expectation that environmental impact, sustainability, and responsible use have to be part of our everyday decision making, built into governance structures and conversations as AI usage grows, and not treated as an afterthought. What about governance and trust? Well, our big AI survey showed us very clearly that a significant proportion of the workforce feel uncertain or anxious about AI, and that trust cannot be assumed, especially as AI becomes part of everyday work. Higher trust is linked to lower anxiety, but the evidence also tells us that blind trust adds risk. What really matters is building informed critical trust, and psychological safety is central to that. Leaders play a key role here. When they consistently role model curiosity, collaboration, and constructive challenge, people feel safer to question AI, experiment responsibly, and use judgment rather than switching off their thinking. As we scale, it's clear that governance needs layers. And as AI becomes embedded in day-to-day work, a top-down governance board on its own is not enough. Governance has to be connected and local, so teams closest to the work can spot issues early. And that's why we are deliberately building governance capability into people, not just into processes and boards, and to make sure that AI continues to be deployed safely, responsibly, and with high quality outcomes as it starts to do the real work for the organisation. And finally, moving people with you. The evidence shows that moving people through change starts with a clarity of vision and a narrative that makes sense of why we're doing this. But what the survey and our experience both tell us is that words alone are never enough. What really builds trust is what leaders do every day, the behaviours they role model, the decisions they make, and the space they create for people to question, learn, and contribute. Putting people at the heart of an AI strategy is fundamentally about human dignity, fairness, and the common good, not just technology for its own sake. And people can get on board with that. And as we start to understand more clearly where AI genuinely belongs and where it drives value, one insight consistently holds true. A workforce that understands how to use AI well, with judgment and confidence, will always create more value than a workforce simply told to use AI more. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today, and I hope that you found the insight helpful. And if this webinar has left you feeling more curious, here are some links to some free resources that will help you to continue your AI literacy journey. We have our online AI maturity assessment, our free 20-minute three lessons AI for leaders, and a great framework from A Blueprint for Better Business that helps you to host a session about whether AI belongs here or not. That's all we have time for today. Thank you to everybody for coming along and for all of your questions in the chat. And we will share a recording with you all very soon. So feel free to share this with your teams. And we'd also love to hear your feedback on today's session. So please do let us know what you found most useful. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.